Hello, everybody. Sound's going to be a little different today. Do have the good mic, however. I hope everybody's ready. I haven't done this before, so I have no idea how this is going to go. Let's hope it goes great. Can everybody hear me clearly? Welcome back, Saturday. I hope I can be heard properly. There's going to be a bit of an echo in here. I can't do a lot about it. Okay, good. We are going to switch. I'm going to let that music run quietly in the background. As soon as the camera decides to turn on. There we go. We are live. Don't even ask that. I will never do that. Can you imagine paying $2 or $3 or $4 or $6,000 for a suit and getting something on it? No way. Oh, me. How's everybody doing today? Whoops. And there goes the camera. There we go. I don't think everybody can see me. Nope. I've recentered and recentered and recentered that camera a dozen times, and it's still... Yeah, exactly. $7,000 with big stains, or worse yet, it catches fire because you're making something flambe. Got back from the county fair. Oh, that's pretty cool. Hey, Hintabo, welcome in. We're just kind of getting started. As you can see, we've got a lot in front of us today. We're going to be making several different things, but we're going to do them all basically from scratch. So I'm going to go over, the only thing that I did in advance was I made the rice over here. And I did that about half an hour ago. And the only reason I did that was because it takes so long to get it prepped. So I'm going to start by going over how that was made first, because that's the first thing you want to do whenever you start making sushi. So the first thing you need is you need to get yourself a decent quality sushi rice. Now, in this case, I've got this brand, which is pretty common in the grocery stores. There's also Mahatma, which is in a bag. Now for 4 rolls, you'll want to use about 2 cups of sushi rice. To prep that, you'll have to basically get a like a wire strainer of some kind, preferably one with very small holes in it. And you put the rice down inside of it and you start rinsing it out real good. Now you'll want to do that initially, then put it into a bowl that's roughly the same size, and then fill it up and let it soak for about 10 minutes. And then you're going to want to soak it again, and rinse it, and soak it again, and rinse it, and soak it again, and then rinse it about 10 times after about 20 minutes. The reason for that is that you don't want any of the starch in the sushi. And once you do that and the water runs clear, you're going to put it into a large pot, or if you have a rice cooker, you can put it in a rice cooker. And you cook it down for about 15 minutes or so, 10 or 15 minutes, depending on the stove and the temperature and everything else, until it basically boils most of the water out and it's got very little left. Once you're down to that point, you're going to want to take about, I think it's a teaspoon or two of sugar, and use refined sugar, white sugar, and about the same amount of rice vinegar. Now, the rice vinegar I used was not very expensive. This is a brand that I found at the local grocery store, and it works quite well. And you're going to mix it into that rice while it's hot so that it starts getting really sticky. Your goal here is to make very, very sticky rice, but you also want it to be cool, which is why I went ahead and made it in advance before we started today, so that I can make sure that it was close enough to be ready to be used. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with making some of the condiments we need. Now, depending on what types of rolls you're making and what types of recipes you're making, oh yes, and it is both sweet and a little bit sour when you make it that way. Now, where was I? Depending on what roll you're making, you might need to make some condiments for it. Not a lot of the condiments are jarred and available here in the U.S., especially in these smaller cities and smaller towns. It's a lot harder to find things, so a lot of times I do this. I just make everything from scratch. A lot of people are wondering where I get stuff from. I generally tend to get it from Asian stores, if there are any, and Indian specific stores, because they tend to carry a lot of it as well. The other thing that you have to be careful of is you have to make sure that you've got the right equipment. Using a $3 knife is fine for most things, but it's probably not good when you need to do things like this, where cutting it can drag through and tear. You don't want anything tearing. I may still have a problem today because I haven't sharpened these in a while. So, the first thing we're going to go over here is we're going to make some marinated sweet onion. It's kind of a pickled sweet onion mixture, and it's for one of the rolls that we're going to make today. Now, for this, we're going to start off with the with a sweet onion here, and I bought this here this morning. We're not going to need a whole lot of it, but we are going to be using some. So I'm just going to go ahead and start cutting these up and getting them ready. So how's everybody's Saturday been so far? I've actually been kind of stressed. Doing game streams is one thing, but doing it live is quite a bit different. So let's cut into this. Feel it from the outside. Anxieties are a pain. You know better, and you still let it bother you. I'm trying to get over that. With everybody's help, it's working. Hey, Tobin. Thank you. Good day? Good. So I'm gonna cut this up and make it nice and small. I know it's going to be a little hard to see what I'm doing from back there, but I have to keep the camera in a position where I can see what I'm doing. Watch your fingers when you start using knives. When I started using these, I was not used to using good knives. I was used to using cheap ones, and I was used to not paying too much attention to it, and I sliced up my fingers numerous times before I started paying more attention to it. As far as a lot of things go, your food processor, getting a food processor is a good idea. If I needed to cut up this whole onion, I'd drop it in there. But I don't need but a little bit. We're not making a lot. Finger sushi, yeah. Put the pinky off. No, I'm not cutting my pinky off, thank you. The smell of these onions is actually quite nice. Hence the reason they're called sweet. Chop it up just a little more. All right, let's get a bowl for that. This is going to be a big mess day, I think. Actually, this ought to work. All right. So now we've got some chopped up onion here. I'm trying to figure out where the central focus of this camera is. I don't use it very much. Now that we've got this, we've got to start making the marinade itself. We need a little bit of olive oil, some white vinegar, some more sugar, a little bit of salt, and some black pepper. Now, personally, I've bought the pepper from the store already ground in the past. I know a lot of people still do, but to be honest, it loses all of its flavor when you buy it like that. It's better to use something like this, where you have a grinder that you can use for yourself. It tastes much better. Air went to Insta-ready yet? Huh? I lost you there. And honestly, these grinder tops aren't too bad, but I don't think I'd want to refill them more than a couple of times. Now this recipe calls for half an onion and about a half a teaspoon of pepper and about a half a teaspoon of salt and 1 teaspoon of sugar. But we're using a little bit less, although I did use almost a half an onion. So do use measuring spoons if you're not used to doing things. Me personally, I'm just used to doing it by hand. Gotta do the old measure method here. There we go. That's enough. That's how you do it. Let's see, we needed sugar too, right? Sugar is part of the marinade process. It's also part of the canning process if you've never done it. I have made canned food in the past. I've canned stuff myself in the past. There are some in my channel in the cooking area for roasted peppers, mini peppers, white mini peppers. It's an old traditional Russian recipe. And I know that my sound is going to be fading in and out. I'm sorry, that's because I'm moving around instead of sitting in front of the computer. So now we'll get this mixed up. And we'll let this marinate for a while. It'll pick up the flavor of the sugar and the salt and the black pepper for the roll. And the next thing we'll make is our own version of Kewpie mayo. Kewpie mayo is the type of mayo that they actually use in Japan for a lot of things, especially sushi. It's got a little bit more egg in it. It's got a little bit more sugar and a few other things in it. So to get the flavor right, we're going to attempt to make some with American mayo. This is something that they probably won't tell you to do it every time, but a lot of us don't have the time to go through and drain and sift eggs and everything else, and I certainly don't. So what I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to raise this camera back up a little bit. I guess I'll just risk being visible, because you can't see what I'm doing if I don't. So for the Kewpie mayo, we're going to use about a tablespoon of regular mayo. Same stuff that you can buy in the store. They recommend using Hellmann's. Hellmann's is a little bit more tangy. In this case, I don't have any, but I do have a reduced fat olive oil type mayo. It'll be a little bit bland compared to that, but it'll work. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of that in here. Okay, a little bit more than a tablespoon because it doesn't want to cooperate. Could you stop filming over there, please? Thank you. And for that, we are going to add more of the rice vinegar and sugar, because that is what you use to make it. In this case, it's not very much. We're going to use about, since we have a little bit more than a tablespoon, we're going to use about a half a teaspoon of vinegar, which is that much. And we'll use an eighth of a teaspoon of sugar, which I had already put away, and I'm going to have to go get it again. But that's okay. This is all part of the cooking process. Fetching, refetching, doing it this way, doing it that way. There we go, just a little bit. And I'm going to add a little bit more because there's a little bit more mayo. Two shots of vodka. Yeah, there's that too. A lot of people like cooking with wine because they continue to drink it while they're cooking. That is not wine, however, on my table. That is diet cranberry juice. So we're just going to mix this in until it thins down a little bit and get more of a consistency to it. I only have a couple of whisks, so I can't really whisk it in there, so I'm just going to kind of crush it into the sides a little bit to make sure it breaks it up. I get kind of a creamy consistency to it instead of the mayo consistency, which is kind of thick and heavy. I'll move it up here so you can see it. So as you can see, it's just kind of a pourable consistency. That's about what you want. Set that right there. Now, the next thing, which I don't actually have a call for today, but I am going to make anyway because I'm going to use it on one of them because I like it. And that is sriracha mayo. Another very simple one, using the same mayo and using sriracha. That's pretty much it. You just mix the two of them together. These things are very useful, by the way. They're worth the $3 or $4 to buy 6 of them. Now with the sriracha mayo, that's all up to you to decide how much you want and how hot you want it. Some people make it very, very hot. Some people make it very, very weak. It is one of the primary ingredients for the dragon roll, which we may or may not have time for, I don't know. So I'm just going to use the straight up sriracha for this. Sriracha mayo, yeah. Looks like yogurt. Yeah, it does. It has the consistency of yogurt. Cowspit coffee liqueur, plum chata, Irish cream, and dark cherry cola. There's a mix. So I'm going to start off with about that much. I don't want to contaminate that one, so I'm going to rinse this off. And yes, this kitchen is quite huge. I don't know why the contractor, when he redid this house, did it this way. This kitchen is literally the width of the house, and it goes back about 17 feet. Also makes it very hard to keep clean. And upkeep. So from the looks of it, the color is right to me. I know that it's going to be a little off on camera, but it's kind of a light peach color. Normally I'd make it a little more red, but I think this would be right for pretty much everybody else. So now we have our basic 3 condiments going here. We're going to have to start working on some of the other things. Now, to make the first roll, we need panko shrimp. Panko shrimp has to be fried and cooked and everything else. So we're going to be doing that here in just a second. I'm actually warming up some oil right now. If you're going to fry things at home, you've got to be very careful, and you've got to be very aware of how the temperature works, because especially if you're like me and you have an electric stove, which a lot of people do, oil will heat up very, very quickly, and it will also cool off very, very quickly. So you've got to be careful of how you dump things in there. You can't just throw everything in at one time. You have to put it in, put 1 or 2 of them in, and then let them cook. And you got to make sure that it's completely finished. Then you got to take it out and you got to check the temperature again to make sure that you're still up above 350. 350 is about where you want it. Let me catch up here. You drink too much. Saturn, are you drunk? Are you drunk in chat? Do I have to send somebody after you? So what I'm going to use here, I got these thawed out and cleaned off earlier. So we have colossal shrimp. Now, if anybody's ever had panko shrimp, they know that it's actually straight. They're vertical. Now I'm going to show you how to do the trick. Yeah, I see you. I see you over there. I may not be able to see everything every minute, but I see you. We'll get a plate ready with a towel so we can drain it. And I'm going to show you how to crack these. You have to crack the meat. I know that sounds a little strange, but I'm going to go ahead and do this for you. And I'm going to move some of these things out of the way so you can see what I'm doing. We'll make the panko, and then we'll make we'll get the slices of our veggies and things ready, because everybody knows that avocado starts turning brown almost instantly. Now, let's see here. We're also going to make tuna mayo as well, so I've got some good albacore here. So for this type of application, we want this shrimp to be vertical when we cut it. So what you have to do is you have to score it with your knife about a little less than halfway through in multiple places along the inside edge. I hope you can see this because I'm watching my fingers. And once you've scored it, you can start stretching it out. You can see the gaps in it the way I've cut it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set it down on its edge of its tail here, and I'm going to push down into it until I hear it popping and cracking. You won't be able to hear this, but if you go to do this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Once they pop and crack, it no longer holds its old shape. It's completely loose. And that's what you want to make this shrimp work. We're going to batter this, and we're going to fry it here in a few minutes. But like I said, we're going to get them ready first. I know Princess Zena's taking notes right now. We love you. So we get it slid about 4, 5, or 6 times. And then we set it down vertically, and we just pop the joints in the meat so that they stretch out. That's all we got to do. I'm making a little bit extra here, mainly because I'm just going to eat them while we're talking. Stretch. Pop. Press with fingers. There we go. You don't want to cut too deep or you'll end up breaking them, and then you'll be all messed up. And yes, I'm leaving the tail pieces on. Sometime later I'll show everybody how to pull those off efficiently without losing all the meat in them. These are colossal shrimp here. These are not the little ones. They're more expensive, but you need them for this. I don't think you better stoke that furnace right now. I think everybody's roasting to death as it is. Now for this frying today, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to use avocado oil because it's meant for higher temperatures. We're going to fry these at a pretty high temperature, and I don't want to smoke up everything. Hey, Saber. Aw, thank you. Welcome in. We're making panko shrimp right now. We're just scoring our last couple of shrimp right now so that we can put them in the fryer. Now, for the frying mix, there's a couple of things you can use that people have used in the past. And the recipes that I've got here, I actually have a Japanese cookbook for sushi. They recommend using cornstarch mixed with eggs. I tried that the first time, and it works, but it doesn't work as well as doing it the more traditional way that we've done here in the US. And that's what we're going to do, is we're going to do it the easier way that everybody will know how to do if they don't, but a lot of people already know how to do this. So here we go. We've got all of our shrimp broken down, and we've got them ready to go. So now we're going to do the breading process. This part tends to bother me a little bit because I don't like having sticky junk on my hands, but I'll do it for you guys. Oh, perfect. Huh. The oil is actually at 380 degrees. It's almost perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an egg wash. When we make our egg wash, I'm going to use two brown eggs. I do like using free range and not the white bleached eggs. It's drinking. I hope that fired. Saber, if it didn't, I can't get to it right now. I'm sorry. Drinking time on air. Yo, wait. Is it drinking time? Let me want to. Where's the roar? Yeah, it's probably not firing right now. I thought it might cooperate today for me, but I can't get to my computer to play it. I'm on a secondary machine right now. This is the old one that I used to use when I first started streaming. So I'll apologize for that. And Tobin, if you're there, you can refund those points, but I can't disable it. So I'm going to crack up 2 eggs here, 2 big ones, and we're going to whisk these until they're nice and frothy. Here's one of the things that you can do. You can get one of those relatively inexpensive blenders, and they come with usually some beaters and things like that. I'm actually using one of those. You can see the nibs on it, but it works perfectly fine by hand too. We're gonna just whip these so that we can get a good coat with it. We get a nice frothy coat, same way you would if you were making scrambled eggs. This will be fine. Then we're going to go through the process of getting these ready. So what we've got to do is we've got to get some just plain white flour here. We're going to coat the shrimp with this first, and then we're going to soak them in the eggs, and then we're going to put in the panko, which is just breadcrumbs, but it's much bigger chunks than usual. We're going to make sure we fill up all the gaps so it's nice and consistent. This stuff will get all over your hands. You cannot avoid it. So we'll take our nice wet shrimp here, and we'll get it good and coated so that it's dry, feels dry. Pack it on there. Be careful not to break it. Shake off the excess, and then we'll coat it with the egg mixture so it's nice and sticky. Then we put it in our panko and get it good and coated. Pinch it on real good, make sure it's nice and thick. Don't leave any gaps. And you'll get one that looks kind of like that. There's so much white in this image. Yeesh. All right, we're just going to repeat that process for the remaining shrimp here. I like to be sure I pack that panko batter into the crevices real good so it's a nice and consistent shape. So there's a lot of gaps in there. You got to make sure you get them well filled. Got to get all them gaps filled properly. Have you ever tried to make tempura? Well, tempura no, but panko yes. Tempura is going to be similar actually. It's a different exterior. It's a different outside coating. I don't remember offhand which one is which. I think it uses a different kind of flour. You have to do the flour layer like 3 times. You got that one's nice and thick. And it'll bubble up when we put it in. I'm trying to keep an eye on chat here. Feel like Saturn wasn't going to remember me today. Okay. So we're going to coat the next one. We're doing all of this as if I were doing it myself, because I am. This is the process I have to go through to do this. It's not too difficult. It's just a little bit time consuming when you're working on it. Get good coat. Breaking the shrimp is just kind of heartbreaking if you do it. I've done it once. I never did it again, but you just get kind of upset. Like you put all that work into it and then it just shatters on you. Always be sure you have more flour and panko breading when you're doing this kind of thing, especially if you're frying like chicken for another reason, because it tends to disappear pretty fast. All right, that's 3. Da, da, da. Good coating there. I'm actually not getting it on my fingers quite as much as usual today. Having tails on the shrimp helps. When you're doing it with chicken, you get soaked in it. Come on, get it in their gaps. There we go. You don't remember much any day? Well, I hope that that's just a thing and not for bad reason. I don't remember a lot of them either. You tend not to after a while. Just depends on how much you do. Three more, and then I'll have to walk away for a little bit, but I'll still be able to talk to you because I've got to get these into the oil. I can smell the oil starting to heat up, so hopefully it won't smoke because I'm using, like I said, I'm using avocado oil. You can use corn oil as well. There's a couple of high temperature oils. You need to look those up if you're going to use these for this kind of thing. I think they recommended corn oil for this one, and corn oil will work for high temperature. I do use corn oil for some things, but I don't do frying very much. This is one of those rare cases where I need to do something for frying. I do not do it. Normally what I do is I coat them just like this, and then I put them in the oven for broil. And when you broil them in the oven, it isn't quite the same, but it's pretty close. You can coat them with butter spray after you've made them. Put them in under the broiler, pretty close to the heating element, and then cook them until the interior of them is done, like chicken and all, like 20 minutes or so, and then you turn the oven. You flip them over here and there, about halfway through. Then you put them near the top, put them back in near the top, and turn the heat way up so that it has a chance to brown it. And when you do that, it's a little bit drier than it would be if it were fried. It won't have that wet sheen to it, but it'll taste better, and it's a lot better for you. Almost done. Almost done. Here we go. Last one. Not bad. I didn't run out, and I didn't use too much, way too much. Pack it in there. And for not there, if you're still here, next week I am going to do another cooking stream on Saturday, and I think we'll be doing chilaquiles. I'm not sure which kind because there's like a million of them, but I will look up one or two and we will make them. Since that's our first official request since I'm officially streaming cooking now on Saturdays. All right, guys, head out. Send me pics when the sushi is done so I can remember to go out for some once I go back on campus. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm going to rinse my hands off here. When you're frying things, it's deceptive. You cannot cook it until it looks like it's done. You have to cook it and kind of estimate a hair before it is done. Because once you get it out of the oil, it'll have kind of a sheen to it, and pretty soon it starts turning a little bit darker. It'll continue cooking because you've got it so hot. Uh-oh. A little too warm on the heat. As I said, it continues to heat up. It's starting to smoke a little bit. So we're going to put our first couple in. You only need about a minute or so. It doesn't take very long. Doesn't even take that long. The first two are already done, and they're a little bit hot. Those got a little bit scorched. All right, we'll try the next two here. Yeah, there it goes. It's a little cooler now. Those two are done. We'll drop two more. In coming future, I will try to figure out how I can get a second camera in here so you can see what I'm doing at the stove too. Oh, those are perfect. Just by cooking those five, the temperature has dropped almost 100 degrees. Frying small scale tends to do that. There's not enough mass. Oh, that's hot. That's hot. That's hot. Oh, that's hot. So, in a matter of just a few minutes, we've got panko shrimp. The first two were these two. They got a little bit warm, so they're a little bit scorched. We're going to use these last 3 or 4 over here for our sushi, and I'll just eat these two. Now, let's clear out the frying stuff. Hey. Go to sleep. The one I'm watching with just went to sleep on me. Make sure that it's working. So the next few things that we're going to work on is getting our veggies ready as soon as we get our things wiped down. Oh no, this drink is dangerous. It is good. Tastes like cider, but I did put 2 shots of vodka in it. Don't get too drunk. Having a little's good. Don't have too much. All right, get that cleaned off. All right, flip that over. Use the other side. Now, we're going to start getting our veggies ready. I don't know how many people know how to handle avocados, but there is a little trick to it, and I'll show you. I'm obviously going to end up standing over there on the side rather than sitting here most of the time. Didn't anticipate that. I don't remember if we needed carrots or not. I went ahead and got them anyway. I think we do need them for the Philly roll. We'll peel and skin them. By the way, baby carrots are just machined carrots. They're the same, except you're losing a lot more and you're paying more for them. Just a little tip. This is where you really have to watch your fingers, because these things tend to roll. I don't recommend doing knife work while you're drinking. There we go. Hey, Slushy, welcome in. We're working on getting our prep done for the sushi today. We just made panko shrimp. We just made Kewpie mayo. We just made marinated sweet onion. And we just made sriracha mayo. Now we're getting our veggies ready. A little pepper. I can barely see that. I'm going to have to get another big monitor if I'm going to do this in here regularly. Doing this stuff right here, this is exactly how you end up cutting fingers. Please be careful. That should be enough. We don't need the other one. Carrots are good today. I do prefer using organic things as much as possible, but the store brands that say organic on them a lot of times aren't really. They're just organic by the USDA definition. So don't spend too much money on it for no reason. So there we go. We've got our carrot strips ready. Now we're going to get an avocado ready. For this, you're going to need a big spoon. And one with a good edge on it. Just your standard dinner spoon will work fine. Tablespoon. With avocados, you need to be sure you get a nice ripe one. Don't get those green ones that are hard. And what we're going to do is we're just going to cut our way around it down the middle to where you get to the core. And you're just going to rock around that core to try and maintain the cut. And then gently squeeze it and pull it apart. Oh, this is a good one. We're only going to need this one. Now to get this core out, usually they're fairly round, but I'm still going to do it here. Here's the trick to it. You want to get that in there and just twist it out. That's all you need to do. Keeps you from cutting fingers and digging things and making a mess. As for getting it out, that you just take your spoon here and work it around the edge of the skin. You can see it's separating on its own. Pull it right out. That's it. Got it all out on the first pass. Not bad. I'm glad some things are cooperating today. Now, this one we just want to make slices. Relatively thin ones. You got to handle these very gently. again, watching fingers. You want them a little less than, you want to try to get them to around 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch of slice. I'm not sure about the millimeter count. I think it's probably 2. We've got our slices done. There we go. Now, cucumbers. When they call for cucumbers, they aren't calling for the ones you normally see. You can see that this one looks a little bit different. This is an English cucumber. These are the ones you usually see that are packaged individually. 4K cooking live. Is it really running 4K? Oh my gosh. I know the camera can do it, but I didn't think I could support it. Fire cut a sushi cut shut. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more than just sushi. I just happened to be doing this today because I thought everybody liked the primer. So I'm going to cut a little bit of this into strips as well, but first we're going to completely skin it. By the way, I only paid about 50 cents for this. If you get a good cheap one, get 2 of them and keep them forever. They are very valuable. Even if you don't do a lot of regular cooking, it's worth it. You don't dig into them. You just kind of drag it across the surface. And it'll work just fine. Try buying 500 of them. I don't think we need that many. I've had this one since the 90s. And I actually don't have another one. I did have one, but my ex took it with her, I think. All right. So these strips are going to be about, yeah, they're going to be about this long. So we're just going to cut it here. Yeah. Yes, it is. Okay. And I'm going to be getting my hands wet and dry all day. At least for a couple of hours. Yeah, it is. It's a good one. We're going to be doing... I was originally going to do a spider roll, but a spider roll is soft shell crab, and I couldn't find it. So we're doing going to be doing the panko shrimp roll first. So I think I've got enough to do a Philly roll. And I've got I got the Kewpie mayo made for making the tuna onigiri, and I have some cured Alaskan salmon for making inari. So we're going to make inari as well. So we're going to cut this into thin strips as well, lengthwise. And I will make one of my comments here as well. I know a lot of people are doing the whole order everything online and then just pick it up thing. I have watched the employees that pull the stuff off the shelves and pull produce. You don't want them doing that. You need to do that yourself. All right. We don't even need this much. So we're going to cut the strips on this one now. I watched them pull some rotten stuff that looked like it was almost dead today when I was going looking for these cucumbers. Not going to get them to do my things. Unless it's just all bagged or canned. Then I don't care. Dented can isn't going to taste bad. English cucumber doesn't really taste much different, but it does have a little bit of a difference. These strips are good. This one's nice and fresh. I have not made tempura. I've made panko. I'll be doing, maybe later I'll do some tempura stuff. Find some recipes that call for it. All of the recipes I have done so far are from all over the world, really. I tried to do all sorts of traditional things. They're in the Discord for anybody that wants to join. I think a lot of you already are joined, so all you have to do is go look at the Recipes Mine channel, and you'll find all the ones that I've been making and some of the notes I had on the recipe itself. A lot of the stuff I've done has been traditional things from various different countries. I've done stuff from Russia, I've done stuff from the Middle East, I've done stuff from India, I've done a lot of Indian food. I've done a lot of Mexico, a lot of South America, and Peru, places like that. We have way too much of this now. Be sure that if you're making stuff like this, you're ready to eat a lot of salad too, because you're going to end up eating it. Unless you're just making a ton of it. There we go. Looks like we've got most of them ready. Now we need the cream cheese, which I forgot to pull out, because we need those for sticks as well. Let me go grab that. Where did the cream cheese go? We also needed some romaine lettuce, which I got today. We need a few leaves of it for the shrimp roll. But, of course, there's a lot in here, so I'm good. And the bag's torn. That's great. But I'm going to use this for salad later. So we'll get this cleaned up. Oh, we've been going over an hour already. I'm thinking that music, whatever it was is over by now. Probably better check it. Yeah, we'll just turn that off. I can't control it and watch this too. So I'm going to despine this. A lot of them get rolled around, but I'm going to despine this because it's got a real thick spine on it. There we go. Thank you for tearing and making it worse. All right. See, when I did that first sushi stream from my other bedroom, I had all this stuff ready in advance. Now you see that it takes a little while to get it done. So, if you're going to do things, be sure you're ready for them. It's always rewarding, especially if you're making a lot. There we go. I got some nice romaine lettuce ready. And I went ahead and got the real, but store brand, but the real cream cheese instead of the new chub. It's the low calorie stuff, the low fat stuff. I actually like it. But for today, we'll do it the right way. If I can figure out how to open it. Uh-oh. You lost power, Tovin? Fried tempura, Middle Eastern street food. Yes, I've made Middle Eastern street food, and I've made Indian street food as well. Sapirakuru. I'm gonna have to look that one up. That is what I've been trying to encourage people to do, is to tell me about things that they have locally that just don't get published very much, so I can have things to be able to make for everybody. I've made let's see, taku taku no lomo. I've made that a few times. That's from Brazil, I think, or Peru. No, it's Peru. Good golly, how do they seal this? They sealed this stuff with super glue. Really? There we go. Now, it tells you to cut these into sticks. It's cream cheese. Do you really think you can really cut it into sticks? That's not so easy. All right. Stick. I can't read that one. Oh. Computer, stop going to sleep. Computer. Smallahove? Not familiar with that one either. Anything anybody wants me to try to take a shot at, if you've got some kind of recipe for it, even if it's in another language, send it to me in Discord. I'm always looking for more. Even if you think it's a duplicate and you don't want to go back and look for it, that's fine. Just tell me and send it, and I'll take a look, and if it's a duplicate, I'll tell you. No big deal. To this date, I don't think anybody's really paid a ton of attention to it because I haven't really been focusing on it very much, but I've put, I think, somewhere around 160 recipes. Somewhere around 160 recipes in my Discord. That is like one every week for the last year and a half, and some of them 2 and 3. That's a lot of cooking. And I've made a lot of them on the cheap. Expensive stuff made cheaply. Now with this, I can teach everybody how to do it as well. That's good cheese. For store brand, that's really good. Okay. So yes, we have the better type of pickled ginger. This is the better stuff. It's worth more to get this than it is that white stuff. We do have sesame seeds. I don't have the black ones though. And I'm going to have low sodium soy sauce because of my salt problem. And I have real wasabi instead of the fake stuff. I think it's real. But it's also very expensive. So now we've more or less, I believe, got everything ready to be able to start making some rolls. So let's take a look and make sure I've got the right ingredients for the right one. Let's see. So the first one that we're going to do is the salmon nigiri. And this one is made with that marinated sweet onion. So we're going to use salmon, the sweet onion, and soy sauce. Relatively little amount. I am, however, going to have to get another cutting board because this one is wet now and we can't have that. All right. So we'll use this one. And we will use this sockeye salmon that I got. Do be careful what you're using. I'm using this as an example today. It's probably not the best choice. It is, however, cured. So we're going to start We're going to start here with our rolling mat. Don't use the cheap plastic ones. These were not expensive. I bought an entire kit. It had 2 mats, 6 pairs, I think it was 6 pairs of chopsticks, and the spreader and the paddle, and it was like $11 from Amazon. It's 11 bucks. It's worth just doing it that way. So we're going to set our roll up here, and we're going to use our nori sheets for full size right here. Nori is roasted seaweed. It has a smooth side, which you can see it's kind of slick, and it has a rough side, which still looks a little slick, but it's there. Oh, Slushy booping me. Oh my gosh. Let me get caught up on chat here. Honey boo boo. Oh my lord, don't bring that up. Might be hard to get a whole head. Okay. Spaghetti recipe using butter and ketchup? Yikes. I mean, it may be okay. I don't know. All right. So I put this rough side down. You want it rough side down on the rolling mat, so that it doesn't, so that you can get more on it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get our rice here, which should be fairly cool. And we're going to start putting this on the nori sheet. When you put this on here, you don't want it to be very thick. You only want it to be about 1/4 of an inch thick. So when you put it on here, as sticky as it is, you're just going to have to do it kind of like this. You're going to have to paddle your way around and spread it like it's almost like it's some kind of cream. This stuff is extremely sticky if you've done it right. So it's going to be a little difficult. And this is the most important part, because if you make this too thick and you make it too thin, it's going to tear or it's going to explode. One of the two. When you're spreading it out, you want to make sure that you don't leave any visible gaps to where you can see the nori underneath it as much as possible. That way you know you haven't made it too thin and you haven't made it too thick. You can judge that by looking at the thickness while you're doing it. Now, depending on the type of roll, you're going to have rice on the outside or you're going to have rice on the inside. For this purpose for today, it honestly doesn't make an entirely big difference. So I'm going to make this rice side in because that's easier, but it does mean you get a little bit less in the roll. Everybody's starting a boop fight in the middle of the cook. You boop the cook and it may take longer. We got time though. All right, so I'm staying about 1/2 inch or so from the inside edge all the way around. That's probably a good judge, because when you start rolling it, it's going to squish out and you don't want it getting everywhere. You don't want to get it on the bamboo mat if you can avoid it. So we've got a pretty decent thickness going on here. Let me see. Let me check what all goes on this one. Oh, I started on the wrong thing. Whoops. I guess we're doing the shrimp first. This one does call for a fried egg. I am not going to use a fried egg right now. I tell you what, we will do the inari first. I'll just set this on the side and we'll come back to it. We'll let that sit. So for the inari, all it is balled up rice with the fish on top and the sauce. So I'm going to take a pretty decent blob of it. You can see it's sticking to my hands already. I'm going to get my hands wet here so I can sculpt it. It is still a tiny bit warm. We're going to kind of roll it up into a little football shape. And with the water on my hands, it's kind of sealing it up. Till we get a shape about like that. And of course, this all depends on how big you want to make them. You can make them the size of your head if you want to. That's up to you. And I need another plate. We'll put our final product over here. For this one, it should be layered. It is not. Okay. So I'm going to cut this. It's kind of thick. I'm going to try to cut it down a little bit. All right. Cutting sideways, the bane of my existence. This is not an easy process. Depending on how much time this takes, we may have time for making another attempt at that. That looks pretty good. So for this one, all we're going to do, it's not quite thin enough, but not quite thin enough, but it'll have to do. We'll use the little bits for the other things. I'm going to kind of just press it in there so that it's on top. And set them over there. Yeah, it's that simple. For inari, that is. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. Yes, we're down to actually making the sushi now. And this one is sushi. It's got fish. I don't know why they consider everything that they make like this sushi, but some of it, one of them I wanted to make for Tovin today, actually, since he was going to be here. And that's actually chicken sausage. I don't know why that's called sushi. I really don't. I have the sausage, but I don't have the chicken, so. And we don't have time for that right now. All right. Let's try again to cut this a little thinner. There we go. That looks a little better. I've only made a nari once. This is the second time. It is considered sushi. There's also Korean beef. There's spam. There's a corn. There's a fried corn one. I mean, it's all sushi, but to me, it seems a little bit interesting that they name it that way, even though it doesn't have fish in it. I honestly don't know the origin, so. We all learn things, and we all take time to learn them. Here. We've already got one roll ready, and we're only going to do 2 or 3. Actually, that roll's starting to curl a little bit. I think we're going to have to do it in a minute. Yeah, we'll stop. We'll stop with these here. It's a little bit big. For this one, it's supposed to have the marinated onion on top. So we'll let the pickled onion sit on there for a little while. There we go. So there's our first 3. We have a nori with the pickled sweet onion. Now, because I already started that roll, I need to finish it because it's starting to curl. It's soaking it up. So what I was going to do with this one is I believe the tempura roll, or not the tempura, the shrimp roll. Where did my towel go? Ah! I had a towel. Both towels are gone. My gosh. All right. Our shrimp roll. Shrimp tail sticking out of the nori. And really, there's not much else to it. Okay. So we're going to take 2 of our shrimp here. We're going to set them up so that the tails are sticking out a little bit into the middle here because we're going to roll it over top of it. In this case, I'm going to include a little bit of the veggies and we're going to put this on here so it sticks out the end along with it. All right, so we get that arranged. And in this case, I'm going to use the sriracha mayo that we made earlier. Make it a little bit spicy. Across the lettuce. All right, here's the trick. Trying to roll it. This is not going to be an easy one. So what you want to do is you want to get the edges of this and grab it over the center. You're going to have to get your fingers in it. So I'm going to get my fingers wet. To kind of keep it from sticking as much. This may be too fat. Maybe too fat. You got to roll it in tight. A loose roll will come apart on you. What I'm doing here is I'm rolling the bamboo mat backwards in kind of a figure 8 S shape as we go. Trying to make it so that you can see it. Over the end. And then I'm rolling it backwards so that it's rolled completely. And I'm squeezing it down a little bit so that it's nice and tight. And we're going to let that one sit for a minute on the seam like that so that it can have time to settle. In the meantime, we can make a few more of these. We got plenty of rice, and we got plenty of fish for now. Magic hands? Me? Maybe. I will take any recipes you all are willing to post. Some things I can do, some things I can't. I'll tell you that just because I can't eat them doesn't mean I won't make them. Sometimes I make things and I just take them to work and let everybody else have them. Oh my gosh. Yikes. Okay, let me ask you to do this. I can't read all that from here. If you're in my Discord, you can post them. If not, I'm available on Telegram. I'm easy to find. I have the same profile picture. You can send it there as well. I don't mind. You may not be able to see my profile initially because I have it set to contacts only, but when you send it, I'll pick it up. It is not Firecat 2, it's just Firecat. If not, send it to someone who is in the Discord and they can do it for you. And I really appreciate you doing that. Right. Another piece of our fish here. This is a good way to do it. We can have time to do 2 or 3 at once. Not burn so much time making it. Okay, so cutting our roll. The rice is sticky. The nori is paper thin, and it is very, very, very fragile. Anything sticky will tear it. So what you've got to do is you've got to wet your knife down as you're cutting it on each layer. I swear I'm going to lose every single towel that I own at this rate. I've got to keep my hands dry and my knife wet. I'm going to use a bigger knife for this so you can see me do it. I think this one's a little sharper than the others. It's probably not the appropriate knife, but I'm going to give it a try. So I'm going to soak the knife down real good, get it wet, because we don't want it sticking. We're going to cut these about 1 inch thick. We're going to gently pull, and it did come apart. The top piece came apart, dang it. Well, the tail came out. It did cut, however. And in between, I'm going to keep wetting my knife down. Okay, thank you. Since we're doing this kind of live and some people are posting things, if Tobin, if you're there, just kind of keep an eye on the Discord so that you can let people in if you have to. I really appreciate you being here tonight. I know there's other things going on. I'm very, very gently drawing this knife through. The sharper your knife is, the better you can do this. But as you can see, I'm getting a good cut here. It's just I have to go more slowly. Uh-oh. I see what the problem is. Okay. The lettuce got into the edge of the roll and I didn't see it. That's what caused it to come apart. Well, I guess that's my mistake. I'll cut it nose side down this time, where the seam is on the bottom. Tobin is the MVP. He always is, but today especially. There we go. Now it's getting a little better. So if you do this, put the lettuce on first and then put the shrimp on so that it doesn't get down into the edge of the seam. And remember on the end pieces that the shells are still there. We've got our first one. So here's how they came out. They look pretty good. I'll get a picture and post them for you too, because the color balance looks a little off. When you're serving these, of course, you'll have your ginger and you'll have your soy sauce. Usually I use these, and I also use these. These little 4-ounce cups are worth the $12. For the moment, however, I'm going to pull these out of the way. So we have our first roll, and we have our inari. We'll move this off the screen. I should also mention that this takes a ton of dishes to do this. I am going to try one of these tempura bits. Even slightly overcooked, they're quite good. Okay, so let's take a look. Somebody mentioned the California roll. Let me see. You're in luck, Slushy. Everything that we've got here is good for a California roll. So you know what? I'll go ahead and do one. Wasn't on the plan, but who cares? They do use imitation meat for this, and I'm using the leg style rolled meat, just the store brand. And what I mean by the leg style is that it's these long strips. They're just round rolls. We're going to put these in just like that. Oh, I've got a storm coming. I guess that was Tobin's storm that he had. Oh, it's a nasty one looking like. Okay. So our California roll is mayo, imitation crab meat, avocado, and cucumber. So that's exactly what we're going to use. Oh, we finally used up the first one. Man, Tobin, couldn't you keep your storm to yourself for a little while? I'm sure it won't be as much of a problem here. It'll be all right. Storms here usually don't last very long. All right. We take our nori sheet, rough side down, put it on right there. It's getting darker in here. Oh boy. We start again with our sushi rice. That was 0 to 100. There aren't many furries in the food and drink section. No, there aren't. And hello. Gosh, I can't read it. Hello, Faylire. Welcome in. No, there's not. And I'm one of the few that actually likes doing it. And I've had bunches and bunches and bunches of people looking at my Discord and looking at all the things that I cook, and they started asking me over and over and over again to start actually doing it live instead of just doing it and posting pictures and recipes. So I've decided, after a lot of stress and deliberation and learning how to deal with stress, that I am going to do this myself, and I'll be maybe the only one doing it, which is fine. I can live with that. So we're going to spread it out like before. Making sure that it's not too thick and that it's even as we go. And for anybody that's just now joining, I have already stated that next week I'm going to make one for one of our very regular and newer viewers who has been very, very, very kind, Nautilero. And we are going to be doing Mexican chilaquiles. And again, I don't know which style just yet, but I will figure that out during the week. There's so many. There's traditional ones, there's breakfast style ones with eggs and jalapenos, and it's just a lot to choose from. And really all it is taking corn tortillas and frying them in small triangular wedges, which is how you make your corn chips. And you get them nice and wet with the oil, and then you mix in whatever you're going to make them with. It could be pork, it could be veggies, it could be anything, really. So I'm going to make a decision on which one I want to make. And I may just make the traditional ones so that we can start there. And later on, we might make some more of different kinds. That one, however, is going to require me to get the camera over by the stove. It's going to be a little bit more difficult. All right. Let me catch up. Let's chat again. Those who are good at cooking need more respect. Well, thank you very much. It's almost 19 in there. Sounds so glitch. I'm back. My internet failed. Well, welcome back. I fired. Glad to have you still. So with this one, we have our crab meat, avocado, mayo, and cucumber. So what we're going to do, we're going to be a little more careful with how much we stuff in here. We're just going to use 2 of these. And really, it's only one. I'm just going to use part of another one. Get off my finger. Thank you. This is pre-cooked. I'm not using any raw stuff. The fish is cured. So we've got our English cucumber again. And we've got our avocado set slices. Can sushi be made using beef? Yes. Yes, you can. I was looking at one earlier. It was a Korean beef recipe for sushi. And I may do that one too. There's so many sushi recipes that I could probably do these for 2 or 3 months before we actually cover them all. So we'll cycle it around. This type of thing is a big time consumer. I don't like doing tons and tons and tons of time consuming stuff that I can't have all week. Normally when I'm cooking, when you see me cooking, I'm cooking in 6 to 8 person amounts because I do live alone and I eat them all week for lunch at work. Saves a lot of money. Okay, it does call for mayo on this one. We're going to use our freshly made Kewpie substitute mayo. I'm just going to put a little thin ribbon of it down the side here. So we get a nice cover. And this is the basis of how our California roll is going to look. This is about the right thickness. Hopefully I haven't made it too thick this time. The last one came apart because it was a little too thick. So we start with our fold here, rolling our mat backwards, and taking our fingers here to press it in so that it goes underneath it properly this time. I can't really see it because this counter is a little bit tall. And I may be 6'2", but I'm not 7 feet tall. Okay, so we've got that. I'm gonna roll it backwards here, pressing it, squeezing it. We'll let that sit for a minute. Let it calm down. And since I have another roll mat here, we can go ahead and make another one. I don't know who's going to eat all of this. I'm certainly not. Let's see about that Philly roll, shall we? Wow, this really did take time today. Rough side down. Just for you all, I'm going to attempt to try to do this one backwards with the right side out. Philly roll. This one is salmon, cream cheese, sardine soy sauce, and sesame seeds. Relatively simple. Okay. Cream cheese and salmon. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. Personally, I like them a little bit spicy. So I'm going to make it a little spicy. Cream cheese and salmon is a little bit boring. Oh, yeah, every time I mix one of these, I need to check. Why you gotta be a 7-hour drive? You know, I've been here since the beginning, just healing is hard when typing. I will eat it all, sneaky won't mind driving 14 hours. I can testify, yeah. Garlic is a blood thinner, yeah. Sushi is more than food, but yes, food too. This is a little bit of an art. You're not lying there. It requires a little. This is not so much a money kind of thing as it is a patience kind of thing. You have to have the patience to want to do this. I know that in the places that do it professionally all the time, just fly through them, but you're not the one that's doing it professionally all the time. You're at home and you're having to do these things for yourself. You have to take the time and the patience to do it correctly. So we're going to start spreading our rice out again. And this one we're going to try and do backwards. And yes, Nina's not lying. She and Sneaky came down for a visit a little while back, and I made something like 8 rolls. And I made some Icelandic kjötsúpa as well, which is a lamb and rutabaga soup. Very unique taste. It's very odd because it doesn't have a lot of spices to it. So you end up tasting a lot of the rutabaga. I actually love it, but it's a little bit, it's good, but it's a little bit weak for doing for lunch. Me being a lion and all, I kind of need the protein. Keep it going. This is a little thick, but it won't matter because it's on the outside. I just don't want it coming apart. Doing these backwards is really challenging. Keep getting little gaps in here. The rice is cooling off now and it's getting even more sticky. I like working with it when it's a little bit warm and it's still a little pliable. There we go. These cooking streams are going to be difficult to keep up with chat, but I will do my best, everybody. That's why vampires don't like it, yeah. Atlantic salmon, seaweed, avocado, ginger, and horseradish. That one will have some bite to it, won't it? All right, for this one, we would have black and white sesame seeds because we're going to do it on the outside. I do have the white sesame seeds, so we will use these. You just want to sprinkle them on there a little bit to get a nice cover. For a first beginner kind of cook, it probably is a good idea for you to follow the recipe as closely as you can when you get one. And the reason I say that is because it helps you to understand what you're actually going for and what kind of taste you're going for. And then after that, you can adjust it to figure out how you like it, and you can make changes. Now, the trick to doing this one is that you don't want the sushi, or you don't want the rice to stick to get into the roller, obviously. So the trick here is to use plastic wrap. And using plastic wrap in itself is a trick. We've all experienced that, I'm sure. It's already sticking to me. So I'm going to stretch it out. And I'm going to cover the entire top of it, just like this. And we don't want it to stick, but this also gives us a chance to pat it down and get the thickness right. Get it nice and tight. There we go. Now we're going to flip it over. And I need the other mat for that. There we go. Keep this one tight, and we'll cut this one as soon as we get this one rolled. Now we've got it on the inside. Now we have to be careful that we don't make it so thick that it won't close, because sealing it is not going to be as easy. Now this one, being a Philly roll, we're going to use cream cheese and the salmon. And I'm going to put a little bit extra this and that in there because that's all it has. So for this one, and that's one of the beauties of being able to do this yourself, you can add whatever you want to it. As long as you got the base right, who cares? You're eating it, right? Put that on there. I hope somebody's taking notes. I think Jindal wanted everybody to take notes today. There are 2 layers in here. It lied to me. Oh well. Make it nice and thick, but also not too thick. There we go. I'm going to lean this one a little bit more towards the front. I know it's difficult to see it from there, but I've got it a little more than halfway to the front of the roll, so when I roll it over, I can trim it. And we're going to take our cream cheese sticks, which are already starting to come apart, and put them on here. And we've got so much of this cucumber, we're going to add some. And as I said, I kind of like it to be have a little bit of spicy to it. So we'll use a little bit of this because I can. Now we have a spicy Philly roll. It'll be creamy and have a little bit of sriracha in it. Not much, just a taste. And personally, a little bit of salt too. Just a little. Okay, here comes the trick of being able to roll one of these. You have to roll it both directions at once, and that is a neat trick. What we're going to do is we're going to fold this over the top here where the rice is compressed, but then we're also going to pull. You see how I've got the plastic wrap here? I've pulled it backwards. And I'm going to roll it with the mat so that I'm peeling it as we go. That should be it. And then so that I don't get it all over the mat completely, I'm going to put this back on it. Bring it back. And roll it to try and even it out a little bit. And now we have a Philly roll. Now, for Slushy's roll, our California roll, let's see how we can do cutting this one. Another towel here to wipe that off with. Gonna wipe off all the slimy stuff so that it doesn't stick as easy. All right, here we go. So we'll take off the chef's taste. Oh, it's perfect. And this one's cutting nice and evenly. Oh, we got somebody else. Hold on. Let me check. People are not to scare alone in the dark. They're scared to not be alone in the dark. Okay. Yeah, that's true. Just drinking and have a good time. That's exactly what I want everybody to do. River towel, just kidding. You're digging this? Well, welcome in, Stony. Oh, gosh. So we're going to continue going at about 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch thick. I make them a little thinner so that you can enjoy them a little more for a little longer. Personally, I like to treat food as kind of a, not just a meal, but as a social thing if I can. It's very rare that I get to have anybody over or talk to. So that's why I'm talking to you guys. And gals. And everybody else. And I've always said that anybody that I know is welcome to come over anytime they like, if they're in the area. And I've had a few friends over. Tobin's come over, although I didn't expose him to this. We did a lemon chicken and potato recipe with kale. And he did almost all of it himself, and I think he really liked it. I'm eating this one too. And there's our California roll. Now let's take a look at the other one. Expose me some more. Oh gosh. It ended up better than you expected it to? Oh, come on. It was a relatively simple one. You did a great job, Tobin. I hope I'm not scaring anybody. Just a little casual conversation between friends here, right? All right. So here is our next little beast. This is sticky. This one I'm going to have to handle with wet hands. So we're going to trim the tip off. Just the tip. And now we've got some Philly rolls. Oh, and it has just a touch of spice to it. It's great. They look beautiful. That storm looks like it's going to hit any time now. It's getting dark, dark, dark outside. Last time we had hail. I may have to switch the stream out if that happens. The doors behind me are made out of steel. They make a lot of noise when there's hail. Oh, nice getting wet. Nice getting sticky. Watch your fingers cleaning the knives. Draw it through. Oh, there's the first of the thunder. This microphone's good enough, you're probably going to hear it. You want more? What else do you expect? Of course. Good. If I'm making everybody hungry, they can all decide if they can go cook something themselves. Means I'm doing my job right. Uh-oh, the last little bit's going to come apart on me. And now we have our Philly roll. This is it. This is how we do it. It's not that hard. It's just a lot of prep work. For 2 people right there. And I promised to do the onigiri as well, and I am going to do so. So let me go ahead and put up some of this stuff because we don't need the salmon right now. And we don't need this other one either. I've got enough of these other ingredients. I can make 10 more rolls here. Okay, let's get our mayo. This doesn't even need knives. Now, I explained the mayo earlier. The mayo is relatively simple. You just need to take American mayo, add a little bit of sugar, and add a little bit of rice vinegar to it. Make it a little bit smoother, less gel-like. For this, I'm going to use canned albacore tuna. Packed in water and not in the oil. The good stuff. I think we have enough mayo to do this, right? So we're going to take our canned tuna here. Yeah, canned tuna. We're just going to mix it in here with the mayo. If I have to make some more, I will. We don't want a lot of it on there. We just want to coat it a little bit and break it up, which I'm doing right here. Yeah, that's what I thought. We got plenty. We'll add some more. Mix it in. Personally, I think this one's going to require some salt and pepper too. I've only made onigiri once, and somebody else had the pleasure of tasting it. I hope it was good. For this one, we actually do use nori for holding it. This is what everybody refers to as rice balls when you're watching anime. I know a lot of people here do. And for this, I'm not going to use the nori that I have in the package. I'm going to use a roasted one with olive oil and salt, sea salt. These weren't but about 50 cents. Ooh, it's getting dark. Get my hands wet again because we got to handle the rice. So this one requires some sculpting ability if you've got it. I don't really have it. Lots of people make these into little triangular shapes and things like that. I can't really do that. I can try. We'll see what happens. So I'm going to try to make kind of a bowl out of it. I don't know if everybody can see this or not. I'm just kind of pressing it into a bowl shape. And then we're going to take our tuna mayo. Onigiri so good. Oh, thank you, Stony. I have absolutely no sound in here at all. I can't hear alerts or anything. Hey, GTA Drifter. Thank you very much. Coming in fast and smooth. Yeah, okay. So we're going to take some of our tuna mayo here and press it down into the middle, and we're going to try to cover this with what we've got. I don't think that I've got too much here. We'll pinch it closed. There we go. Sculpt it. The traditional way is kind of a ball shape anyway. But I'll try to flatten it out a little bit for the nori here. We'll make a couple of these and then I'll put the nori on them for you. There we go. That came out pretty good. So I'm going to do it again. Keep your hands wet so it doesn't stick to you. I've seen people say to use oil. I would not suggest doing that because it'll get all over the sushi, and you don't want oily sushi. Even if it's olive oil, you don't want that. I'm making it about a quarter to 3/8 of an inch thick. That's like 12, 13 millimeters, I think, for our European friends. No, 12.7 is a half of an inch, so it's like 8 or 10. We're going to bring in a little bit more of our tuna mayo. That's probably a little too much. Off. We're going to try to pinch it up again. Nope, not enough rice. This one we're going to have to cover, which is fine. There we go. Some of these are just plain rice. Some of them are filled with pork as well. There's a lot of varieties when you do things like this. I can barely hear myself on my laptop behind me, and I still sound a little strange, even after all these months. I sound strange a little bit. Oh, hey, okay. Let me catch up with chat again. Let me giddy. Yes, I do need to stretch. My back is kind of hurting a little bit. Oh, there when it popped. That works. So here we go again. You don't want to get it too wet. I'm seeing that I got a little bit too much water in it and it's starting to separate. Don't get it too wet. You still need the rice to be very, very sticky. It's a careful balance. Doesn't exist fake. Just paint it? What? What was that about painting? Doesn't exist fake paintings because every painting is real if you just paint it? Well, okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. Even if you're making a fake, you're still actually painting it. That's technically true. All right, let's try to roll this one up. Nice and tight. Get some strength to it. You don't want to put soy sauce on these, typically. If you put soy sauce on these, they'll fall apart almost instantly. That's kind of a problem with Inari as well. The first one that we did, where we just balled the rice up first and then put everything on top, they will fall apart pretty fast if you're not careful. Random facts with Metalera. Yeah. Let's make our fourth one here. More like shower thoughts in that case. This one was a little too thin. I can't tell if the storm is coming or going. Now we've got our 4 onigiri ready. We need to put our nori on them. My hands feel all slimy. I want to handle this nori, especially the salted roasted nori, with dry hands. So these are pre-cut. Relatively thin. They're made for snacking. I do frequently snack with them. So I'm just going to get it on there first, and then we'll shape it a little bit. Most of the time when they cut these, they use the longer nori strips and they wrap them with them. So you'll see them with a little thin strip, but for these, because I'm adding the salted nori, I'm going to keep them intact so they're more like the larger style. Press them in there a little bit. That one's good and tight. Also good. And now we have our tuna mayo onigiri. Nice large rice balls. So they're relatively large. And we have made 2.5 hours worth of sushi. Wow. Wasn't expecting it to take this long, actually. It's quite good. Of course, for your serving, I'll go ahead and set it up. When you're serving these, of course, I mentioned all the sides, but I'm going to go ahead and put them together so you can see them. That, and I promised somebody some pictures. So we'll go ahead and get some of this cleaned up. Give me just a second, everybody. I heard the phone ringing. They hung up before I got to it. Okay. Let me hit the be right back screen, and I'll be back in just a second. I'm going to check on that. I'll be right back, everybody. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry. I was just calling to see who that was. Oh, good. The camera stayed on this time. Clear all this off. My daughter is planning on coming down this weekend, and she was calling to tell me. Whoop. I hate how the camera's always backwards. Everything's backwards and upside down. There we go. I hope everybody's enjoying this. When we do later streams, it won't take as long to do this kind of thing. So this particular run on recipes consumes a lot of time. And everywhere. We have our chopsticks. And there's no shame in it if you can't use them, of course. Perfectly welcome to use forks. Ooh, you all may be able to hear that thunder now. All right. We have our soy sauce and our ginger. And our wasabi, for those who like it. Personally, I do. Wasabi is not horseradish. It is horseradish in a lot of places, but wasabi is actually its own root. That's almost all of it. And this, my friends, is a very big sushi dinner. Now, we're going to get a picture and then we're going to switch over. And we'll take one good picture for our posting today. And I'll put it in the Discord. And if anybody wants me to write these recipes down for the various different types of rolls, I'll be glad to do so. Okay. So for today, I'm going to stop here because I really can't eat all this anyway. So we're going to stop this part. Yeah, it is. I see it. We're going to stop this part and we're going to switch over to adjust chatting on my other computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it here. And if everybody will hang on just a minute or two, I'll go set up the other machine. What I will do is I'll go set it up first before I cut this one off. So give me just a minute and we'll go do that. We'll switch out. Everybody enjoy the view. All right, everybody. I'm going to switch over to my headset, so the sound isn't going to be quite as good. But I'm going to go start up the stream on the other computer so we can play something while I get to eat some of this. So, everybody just hang on just a minute. I got to switch computers. And I will be right back, okay?